when we were talking about how to run this session, one of the thoughts was that we would decide in advance what we would do in breakout groups, that we'd have some presentations and then we would decide essentially what problems to be working on. And we ultimately decided not to do that, which means we're operating without a net. Because what we really want to do is to get you all talking to each other and surface the ideas that are kind of implicit in the room. So what we're going to do is essentially in two parts. We're going to have a couple of people up here presenting ideas that are meant to be essentially conversational objects, things to get us started. And then from there, we'll have a sort of plenary discussion. We'll take questions and comments from the room. And finally, then we'll go into breakout groups, and we're going to ask you all to surface ideas that you think are practical but haven't been instantiated yet, things that could happen but haven't happened yet in applying these technologies to a development agenda. And then we'll have a report out to bring those ideas back. We'll also work with the rapporteurs to capture the ideas and to put them up after the fact for subsequent examination and editing and so forth. So that's the shape of the afternoon. Without further ado, let me invite the first speaker up. We're going to start with Steve. And are you going to do it from there or you want to do it from here? From there. Come on up. Thank you.
Okay, great. All right, let me just grab my, sorry. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Steve Vosloo. I'm the Fellow for 21st Century Learning at the Shuttleworth Foundation, which is based in Cape Town, South Africa. A lot of what I want to talk about today has actually been covered this morning, or alluded to, which is great, because it means I'm on the right track, I think. The point that I want to make today is that while access to information is critical, and nobody is questioning that, I think what we should really be aiming for is access to participation. And I'll spend the next 10 minutes explaining what I mean by that. So first, a story. In 2003, I joined as the usability team leader this e-government portal called Cape Gateway. So we provided access to government information and government services to people of the Western Cape, South Africa. It was a very successful project. We had 3 languages, English, Afrikaans, and Xhosa, the first trilingual e-government portal that we had come across in South Africa, or in Africa. 3 channels of access, the website, a walk-in center, a call-in center. We had won various awards, and by the time I left there, we had 60,000 pages of information. So 2 problems that we encountered a lot of the time was that, 1, our information quickly became outdated. Imagine 60,000 pages. We tried to have contact details for very specific people. So to try and make access to government as transparent and as easy as possible. But people move on, their phone numbers change, et cetera. So that was one problem. The second problem was that often we would point people to their nearest traffic department and explain to them how to renew their license. But when they went there, they received terrible service or no service. So while their total government experience had begun well, they had the information, it had ended very badly. And obviously, that was a problem for us. So what could we do about that? Please park that question. I'm going to come back to it at the end. So after Cape Gateway, I was very lucky to spend a year at Stanford University, which, as you know, is in the heart of Silicon Valley. A lot of Stanford alumni have gone on to found very successful IT companies, Google, Cisco, Yahoo. So for a South African who had been on dial-up connectivity at home, to spend a year at Stanford was mind-blowing. And it was here that I first began to understand what Web 2.0 was all about. So Tim O'Reilly had famously described Web 2.0 as various things, but one of them was it's an architecture of participation. And we all get that through user-generated content. So this kind of, I really began to feel that in that place. A professor that I came across, Professor Henry Jenkins from MIT, in his book Convergence Culture, and in this paper that I reference, he speaks about participatory culture. And it is a change in our culture where we as a society are no longer happy just to consume media, but also to we now want to participate in the creation and sharing of it. And if you look at the examples that he gives, it's very much around rich media creations, blogs, podcasts, games, fan fiction, etc. So I got that. And I guess after my year at Stanford, when I was going back to South Africa, the question that I was asking myself was, are we a participatory culture? So, and we, I mean not just South Africa, but developing countries. Our technological landscape is vastly different. Our cultural context is different. We're behind technologically. Are we also behind in the way that we use the technology? So have we become a society that wants to participate? So I'd become taken by Facebook and YouTube and all things shiny and new and needing broadband. And it was very difficult to think of this context in that notion of participatory culture. I've spent the last year trying to answer this question, speaking to various people on the ground, practitioners all over the world, looking at projects in the ICT for development space. And the answer that I've come to is that yes, we are a participatory culture, but it looks different where we are. The desire to participate is exactly the same. The benefits to participate are the same. But our differences are as follows. First of all, it's mobile. So we know that, and that's been covered this morning. In just released statistics, we know that there are 1 billion people online through PC-based internet access. There are 4 billion people, roughly. And I know that the figure changes, but let's say 4 billion people with access to cell phones. In Africa, that's obviously particularly pertinent. In South Africa, we believe that 90% of the youth have access to cell phones. 9% have access to PC-based internet at home. So this is the device through which the developing world is going to participate. Participation is also about contributions and not just those rich media creations. So as an example, one could look at Wikipedia and say, this is a rich, time-consuming, very well-thought-through creation that somebody's put up there. This is a page. Not everybody who uses Wikipedia puts up a whole page. We know that a lot of people just make tiny edits, but some people take pride and create this little knowledge piece. This is a contribution in a developing country context. So this is Al Jazeera reporting on the war in Gaza using citizen journalism and using Ushahidi, which was mentioned earlier, which is a fantastic piece of software, which I would actually like to repurpose and use it for an alternate reality game in Cape Town with teenagers as they run around the city and find things. But so this is contribution on the ground, crowdsourcing crisis information, allowing people to send their information via SMS, email, or web form, and aggregating it in a very sophisticated and slick interface, but allowing that quick and easy participation on the ground level. Another example, and this is a new project, is Text Eagle, crowdsourcing the world. They want to tap into the 1.5 billion people who are mobile, who have mobile phones, who are literate in the developing world, and who could, for money, perform simple text-based activities. So this is a contribution in an economic development sense.